I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Hey guys, welcome back. It's your girl Toya T, and this is my recap and review of HBO's Insecure episode 8. Broken as fuck. This is the finale. First, the episode starts back up with Issa. We find her after Lawrence has left, after he told her to get the fuck out the way and move, and she was crying. We see her in a 3-day funk. She's in her bed. She's calling Lawrence like crazy. He's not picking up. She's going on their Facebook page, and, well, not their Facebook page, but her Facebook page and his Facebook page, and stalking him and looking at all their pictures together and missing him like crazy and crying and doing all kinds of broken hearted girl type stuff. So she brought this pretty much on herself. So it's really hard to feel bad for her, but I've been there. I understand that hurt. But Lawrence hasn't been home in 3 days, and we see what he's been doing since those 3 days have passed, since he found out about Issa fucking around on him. He's at his new job in Santa Monica at the tech company, and he is just looking good. He finally got all that shaped up. I commend them for making sure that when he was supposed to be in his bummy phases, that they said, hey, don't cut your hair, don't shave. We need you to look like a bum, so that when we finally do show you getting your stuff together, that we can shave you and shape you up and all that stuff. And gosh damn it, I don't think I've ever thought that Jay Ellis looked so good. And he looked really good at the end, and I'll get there. But Lawrence was looking good. He was in the middle of a meeting with his new co-workers and his bosses. And, he's sitting there being smart, and they're like, Lawrence, how can we do this? And he's like, we should do this and this. And he has all his notebook ready. And then all of a sudden, one of the assistants comes in and says that Lawrence has a package delivery. So he gets up and he goes to go see what the package is. And it turned out the package is Issa. Issa with his stuff, and she's trying to, be funny about it and be like, well, how you been doing at, I think his name was Cody? Chad. She's bringing him stuff because Lawrence, we find out, has been staying at Chad, his friend that's getting married, the one that's getting married to the woman that is currently married and getting a divorce, and they're getting their divorce and their prenup done at the same time. Her divorce and their prenup done at the same time. Craziness. But yeah, that friend that he called on episode 1 when he had messed up and really forgot about Issa's birthday and was really slipping on that shit, trying to do some red box and chill for her birthday. I mean, he was wrong there. But he's been staying on Chad's couch. And so Issa comes with his stuff and it's like, well, I brought you some toothbrush, some toothpaste, and some panties, because she's trying to make a joke about when she didn't come home after they had that break after on episode 2, and then when he met her in the Walmart and was like, not the Walmart, the Rite Aid, when she met up in the Rite Aid and she was buying new panties, so she was trying to make a joke, and he's like, not funny, why are you here? Leave me alone. And so she kind of gets it. She's like, okay, he just want to talk to me. And then he turned around, he's walking away, he turns around and he says, stop fucking calling me. And that must have hurt. I saw the hurt on her face, and it was just like, Then Issa goes to work, so we see her back at her job, and she has all these congratulation balloons from, doing such a great job at the We Got Y'all fundraiser, and her co-worker comes over and tells her, like, we still have to call all the donors and thank them, and there's only one left, and I feel like you should do it. But Issa is visibly in a funk over this whole Lawrence breakup thing, and she looks at the list and sees who she has left to call, and of course it's Molly. And so she's like, okay, let me call her. She calls her up, and again she's joking. I guess it's like a defense mechanism for her. So she calls like, bitch, you still mad? And Molly's like, hello, what do you want? Like, she was not trying to play no games with Issa. She was still on her feelings. She's still mad at her. Issa's pretty much calling her and doesn't really even thank her for her donation, but she's like, oh girl, you know that these donations is tax deductible. And she's like, yeah, I know, I donated last year, so why are you still talking to me? And so then we find out that they also have a trip plan, a girls trip plan for their friend Kelly's birthday. And Kelly's the big one, I think, right? No? Is she? Yes, it's Kelly's birthday. She's the big friend that's always drinking and had the cousin with the Jesus play, the hood rat Jesus play. And so she's talking to her and saying, are we still going to Malibu for Kelly's birthday? And she's like, yeah, well, do you want to go half on a gift? And Molly's like, I already got her gift, so I don't need to go half with you on anything. Yes, I'm still going on this trip. I will see you there. Oh, I think someone's calling me. What do you say? Okay, I gotta go. Bye. And so she hangs up on Issa, and Issa's like, all right. But again, in this situation, she did deserve it the way she talked to Molly. But, Molly's also in the wrong. But regardless, we know that they're going to be forced to be together for this girl's birthday trip to Malibu. And so the next scene we see Issa in the car with the other girls, Kelly and Tiffany. Tiffany is the bougie one who's apparently married to her bougie ass husband. So they're in the car together, and Molly and Issa are in the back, and you can see the tension. Like, they're just not, like, all of them can kind of see that it's kind of tense between the two of them. But it's a road trip from LA to Malibu. It's not too far, so they're trying to make the best of it. They're singing and they're dancing in the car, and can't wait to get to Malibu. And they get there, and they're staying in this beautiful house. I'm assuming it's an Airbnb, but it's this beautiful, like, huge Malibu waterfront mansion with a hot tub and all this other stuff outside. And when they split up the rooms, there's 2 bedrooms. Of course, Tiffany was like, well, I'm taking the one upstairs because I want the view. And immediately Molly was like, I'm going to sleep with you upstairs. And already Tiffany and Kelly are like, oh, something's going on, because usually Issa and Molly wouldn't room together, obviously, when they did things like that. So that is signs for them that something is going on, and still the breeding tension that obviously is going to bubble up. And when it does, it's explosive. So then the girls go to a bar. I guess it's like, I don't know what college is near places in Malibu. I know there's colleges in Malibu or near Malibu, but they went to a bar that for some reason was populated by college kids, college guys. And so they're at the bar, and they're like, well, we're going to do Didn't We Say? Or We Did Say, that's what they call it. We're going to play the game We Did Say, which I'd never heard of, but apparently it's their version of a kind of girls trip kind of game where it's the whole thing of you, whatever someone tells you to do, it's like a truth or dare. You have to tell the truth. You have to do the dare, because the whole idea is not holding back, not saying no. So it's like, didn't we say? We did say we were going to have fun. We did say we were going to turn up. We did say we were going to drink till we pass out. We did say we were going to flirt with boys. So all of these things, is part of it. So the girls are getting into the mood. They're taking shots. And still there, we can still see the tension between Molly and Issa. Molly's like, well, I'm definitely in for We Did Say. And she's like throwing back her drinks and gets onto the dance floor with Kelly's fast ass. And so they're dancing with some really cute but very obviously young guys. And so all the girls getting out and dancing, even though Issa is left with Tiffany. And Tiffany's like, oh, I see, like, how's Lawrence doing? What's he up to this weekend? And Issa's lying and saying, oh, well, he's chilling, whatever. And then starts looking at her phone. She's like, oh, do we have good service in here? And of course, Tiffany got to be shady and be like, well, yeah, I know. Every time, my man he just cannot stop texting me. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, look, he just has to keep checking up on me. And Issa's looking at her like, oh my gosh. But then a song comes on, Wipe Me Down, which also is my song too, by Lil Boosie. Wipe Me Down. I don't want to get copyrighted on this, but you get the point. So they all getting on there, and they dancing and stuff. And again, still tension. So between Molly and Issa, but Issa getting it in, she's trying to get it in. She turn around and they see Molly making out with one of the young boys. He really looks like okay, so if he's there, I would like to say he's like 20, 21, but he's definitely in college. He looks young. He looks like one of my students, which really grossed me out that she was making out with him. But even on that, I'm older than Molly and Issa, and so again, it's just nasty. So she's making out with him, tonguing him down, like she just wants to like suck him into her mouth. And so the girls are just like, well, whatever, you know, we did say. And so they just continue going with that. Then we catch up. We finally see Lawrence, and he's at his boy Chad's place, and they're outside smoking some weed and talking. And Lawrence is definitely visibly hurt by this breakup. He's talking to Chad about, like, you know, I really... I'm not saying that I changed or, changed for her or got my shit together for her, but I got my shit together for her. And I'm so mad that I did all this. And we were looking at rings and all this other stuff. And she went and had sex with this dude and messed things up. And of course, Chad, who's now about to get married, he's like, yeah, man, I appreciate you being here, because all I've been looking at is flowers and small cakes and stuff. And so, which is hilarious. Again, it's like, dude, you're getting married, so that's what comes with the territory. And it's going to be, other things that you don't sound like you want to do. But he's talking to Lawrence, and Lawrence is, and his friend Chad is like, well, are you going to take her back? What you going to do? Are you going to work it out? And Lawrence is like, well, what would you do? What would you do if you found out that your current, soon to be wife fucks some dude? He's like, no, I wouldn't mess with that. But he's like, yo, Lawrence, you an R&B, you were an R&B dude. And so, you not the Bobby Brown R&B dude, but more like the, Tevin Campbell. Trying to think of somebody real good for this, because right now all of our R&B male singers are all super hard. They're trying to be like Jodeci, but let's think Boys to Men, I'm down on bended knees, baby please, he's like, you're one of those R&B dudes that's talking about your feelings and crying and talking about hugging and being in love with nature and making love to each other. And Lawrence takes that a little bit, he takes that as an offense. It's like, you know what, fuck that, let's go out to the strip club, call Big Mike and whoever the other dude is, and let's go out the next night. So that is the plan, or just go out tonight. That's the plan. So they decide to go out to the strip club. And so we come back with the girls, and they're still at the bar. Molly's still grinding it up on little Baby Bay. Baby Bay. Let's call him Baby Bay. And the night is kind of winding down, and, Kelly got herself a little white boy that kept calling her ooh, you look like Jill Scott. And she's like, ooh, you look like Twilight. I'm so mad that they referring to Robert Pattinson as Twilight, in reference to Edward, his character. And so, but he did kind of look like Edward from Twilight. But anyway, so obviously they trying to get it in, drinks, flowing, and Molly is looking like she about to leave with dude. She's like, we did say I'm about to, get my freak on. And Issa tries to stop her and be like, girl, do you really want to do this? He is he's Baby Bay. He can't do nothing for you, and this is actually pointless. But Molly, again, still mad. It's like, well, you know how I am, my can't keep a man mentality. You already said that I can't keep a man, so I'm gonna go and do what a can't keep a man girl does. And so she goes home, goes back to their Airbnb mansion, and pretty much manhandles that young Baby Bay. I mean, he could barely get his clothes off. He's like, what should we do? Should we play music, or I don't know, get some drinks or something? And she's like, get on the bed, take out the clothes, and really manhandling him. And I was just like, okay, he just got the fuck of his life, obviously. But damn, girl, it just, he still had his pants on. That's how you know. I just couldn't. I'm like, girl, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? But obviously Molly has this. She's not in a great place. And so she rocks little Baby Bay's world. And we see him leave the next morning, and Issa's already downstairs, up early, about to cook in the kitchen, and Molly just looks at her and just walks upstairs. Now, during this time, Kelly comes into the kitchen, and her and Issa kind of have a talk, and she still can see the tension between her and Molly, because she's like, wait a second, you didn't say nothing, she didn't stay down there. So Kelly gets Issa to admit that there's some issues. Issa doesn't tell Kelly that her and Lawrence broke up and then she cheated on him, but she can tell that there's something going on. And of course, Kelly's messy ass is like, well, did he hit you? And she's like, no, he did not hit me. Do you not know Lawrence? He did not hit me. She's like, is you pregnant? Are you pregnant? You pregnant, aren't you? Oh my gosh, I knew. She's like, I bet Tiffany that you would get pregnant. You'd slip up and get pregnant. Now I owe her $100. And it's like, no, she's not pregnant. And y'all messy as hell to be making bets on who gonna get pregnant. I mean, I'll make speculations about my friends, but I won't put money on it. Like, I appreciate having my money in my pocket. So then we see the girls are actually really near, I guess, a wine tasting. So we see Molly and Tiffany talking ahead of time at this wine tasting. They got the wine and they're talking about how judgmental Issa is. And Molly's like, yeah, she's always judging and it's ridiculous. And of course, Tiffany just loves being able to talk about Issa. She's like, yeah, I told you about them ratchet friends that you have. And so she's like, yeah, and so they're all in their feelings about how Issa's so judgmental when they sitting there judging her, which I think is hilarious. But we all know that none of us are perfect, so neither are these two. But then Issa comes up on them, and the wine tasting person is like, well, can you taste the different notes in it? And Tiffany and Molly are like, yeah, I can taste it. It has a little bit of like an orangey taste. It has, this a hint of maple in it. And they look at Issa and she's like, it tastes like wine. I love that because I feel the same way too. I'll be going to them liquor tastings and be like, this one's strong. This one not so strong. Because I can never smell it. I don't know if I have. So then it's the next night. It was the next night. The next night we have Lawrence and the boys at the strip club. And they just enter it with just ass. And I was just like, damn. Ass and titties. I was just, okay. And so, of course, the guys are having their man talk conversation there. And the guys are schooling Lawrence, who's still complaining about how he feels like, Issa played him and all this other stuff. His three friends, including Chad, are talking about, you about to get a lot of pussy thrown your way because, you single now. You haven't been single, these last 5 years, but now you single. Things have changed. And Lawrence is like, how so? As he's watching the stripper just flirt at him and wink at him and shake that shit at him. They're like, back in the 20s, it was like, oh, I don't want this. He's a nerd. He this, he that. He's like, now as the girls get closer to 30, they desperate, man. They real thirsty. So you can pretty much say whatever you want. As long as you have your stuff together, you can pretty much tell them whatever you want. Like, man, I only mess with chicks that, suck dick on the first date. And, if they don't, I tell them they can go. And then, I find I get it sucked on the first date. I'm just looking at them like, okay, I get it. And so Lawrence is still a good dude, but these dudes, like his friends are trying to turn him into a fuck boy. And I do talk about that if you want to know more about my fuck boy list, 5 fuck boys that you will encounter, or at least that I've encountered. The type that Lawrence is on that list. The good guy fuck boy who got fucked over by his last girlfriend or wife or whatever, and then temporarily gets involved in some fuckery, just doing all kinds of stuff that he normally wouldn't do. And then when he gets that out of his system, he settles down again. And so you try to get him when he's not in that mode. You want to get him after he's done run through like 15 chicks and treated them like they were just a piece of meat. So Lawrence, again, is listening to them and like, okay, yeah, right, whatever, you lying. And so eventually he's looking at the stripper and he was like, you know what? Y'all try to say I'm a good dude. I'm a go and turn up. Like, I think I deserve it. And so the stripper comes by. Of course, I don't know if Lawrence hasn't been to a strip club in a long time, but the stripper came over and he whispers in her ear. And you're like, what is he going to do? And they walk off. And I was like, they're going into, the champagne room, the boom boom room to get a lap dance. But I don't know if Lawrence are that way. Apparently he thought that the girl was flirting with him. And so they go into the they go into the boom boom room, and she's giving him a lap dance, and he like, you know, slaps her ass. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, you a good dude. And he's like, nah. And she's like, oh, well, he's like, then show me. And he was like, bam, on the ass. And she like, oh. And then she starts feeling around on his, you know, his manhood. And he's like, oh, you know, the security guard's right there. Like, you know, he good with that? And she's like, yeah, he good. And then so she works herself down. And they talk, and she's like, oh, you so cute, and blah, blah, blah. And he's feeling himself like, yeah, And of course, she's like fiddling around on his zipper. And he's like, how far can this go? She's like, as far as you are willing to go. He's like, what that means? She's like, I think 200 for head and 400 for sex. And you see Lawrence's face like, what? And it's like, you stupid. Hello. She don't like you. She wants your money. I mean, this is a business transaction. Again, then we find the girls having some shade talk in the hot tub. They're in the hot tub, and of course, they start talking about each other. And, you know, Issa's just looking like all kinds of just, you know, still upset about not hearing from Lawrence and not really enjoying herself. And Molly's over there talking about, well, it's the new me. And they're like, oh, you fucked that dude last night. And she's like, yeah, it's the new Molly. And it was like, what's the difference between new Molly and old Molly? And this is Kelly and Tiffany asking her this. And she's like, well, new Molly, you know, accepts what she is and, you know, it doesn't give a fuck about it. And they were like, really, what's the difference between new Molly and old Molly? This new Molly that you say that you are, that doesn't care what people think, is still engaging in activities, man-chasing activities, and doing things that will not get her a stable relationship in the end. Or they call it self-sabotage. Self-sabotaging relationships. Molly is the same person, old and new. And Molly's face just cracks, and she starts to notice that it's not just Issa that thinks that about her, that all of her friends have seen this kind of behavior that she's been engaging in, and maybe she does need to change something and get some help and talk things through. But Issa, being the good friend that she is, and despite, you know, what happened between her and Molly and wanting to protect Molly, of course, she went off on them girls like, yo, Kelly, why are you always, you know, being so negative and talking about people and throwing shade? Like, you act like your shit don't stink at all. And she's like, well, I know. And she's like, why can't you ever get your drinks in your mouth? Because every time that girl drinks, like, she dribbles a little bit. And she's like, she's like, how can you never get the drinks in your big ass mouth? And I was just like, oh, okay. And so she's like, you always talking shit, but then ain't got your own life together. And then she looked at Tiffany's like, well, whatever. And then Issa's like, well, Tiffany, I don't know why you saying anything when you, with your codependent ass, like, you can't even wipe your ass without your husband saying yes or no. And then, of course, Tiffany had the shade for Issa. She was like, well, I don't know what you talking over there with your pretending to have a man ass. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I know that you and Lawrence aren't together anymore. I know that y'all broke up. And he's like, who told you this? And she, of course, obviously it was her boyfriend that told her. Or not boyfriend, her husband told her that Issa and Lawrence broke up. And she's like, yeah, I heard that you, like, they're like, what happened? Like, you know, now Kelly wants to know the details. She's like, Issa cheated on Lawrence, and he broke up with her. And Issa's like, how do you know that I fucked Daniel? And they're like, oh, you fucked Daniel? So now, because they all knew Daniel and they saw him there and whatever, they all knew Daniel from before. And so now the whole information is out there, and Issa gets upset, and she kind of gets out of the pool, out of the hot tub. She gets out of the hot tub and she walks away because her phone rings, and she notices that that Lawrence is calling her. So she runs into the house and she calls him, and we see that Lawrence is still in the strip club, and she's like, oh, I'm so happy to hear from you. And, you know, he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, how's Chad's couch? And he's like, you know, it's uncomfortable. And she tells him that, you know, I won't be home for 2 days. So you can go into the apartment and stay there while I'm not there if you want to. And he's like, all right, cool. And then, you know, some time goes, you know, there's a little bit of a pause, and he says, you know, I miss you. And of course, she's like, I miss you too. And her like heart breaks, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to get back together. And I was like, I was like, maybe that the interaction with the stripper really woke Lawrence up and made him realize that, like, it's just not really cute out there in these streets. Like, maybe you should try to work things out with your long-term girlfriend. And then if things don't work out, then you can move on, but you can't end it like this. You can't end a 5-year relationship by not talking at all, especially when you live together. And so he's like, yeah, okay, I think we should talk when you get home. So in 2 days, he's saying we should talk. And so she's like, oh yeah, great. Gets off the phone with Lawrence. And then she goes back outside and she's like, I gotta go. I need to like get a car. I need to leave right now. Go home. I need to go work things out with Lawrence. And of course, Tiffany and Kelly are like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, what you want to do? We're not gonna drive down there. And so you see Issa go back inside and she's packing up her stuff and she's trying to get an Uber to come pick her up in Malibu and bring her back to LA. And it's, she's not being able to get one. And then finally Molly pops up and it's like, let's go, girl. So Molly cracks and she decides to be that ride or die friend that, it happens. You get mad, but you don't want to see your girl out there in a random Uber trying to go home to, work things out with her man. So then we see that Lawrence does go home, and when he gets there, of course, the Bloods are sitting on the couch or the bouch that him and Issa had thrown out, the old couch from their apartment that they threw out to start anew. And, so he sees him and says, what's up? And he goes into the apartment and he looks around and we see him go into the bedroom. Next, we see Issa and Molly on their way back to LA and they kind of hash it out. And Issa apologizes for what she said to Molly. And Molly admits that she does have issues that she needs to work out and that they're cool now and everything is good. And so she drops her off. She drops Issa off at her apartment and Issa goes in. And we already know that we saw Lawrence go in there. So we see Lawrence's key. He is on the counter. We're like, oh, he's in the bathroom. He's in the bedroom. I thought that when she walked in that possibly Lawrence was in there banging out freaking, Captain Clavicle Boobs, a.k.a. Chase Ho, a.k.a. The thirsty banking hot to try thought. But no, she walks in there and I was like, oh girl, he moved out. Oh girl, he moved out. Oh girl, he moved out. Oh my gosh. And she walks in and all of Lawrence's stuff is gone. His stuff on the side of the bed is gone. His pillow's gone. And she looks in the closet and the only thing left is his Best Buy shirt. Shady. Only the Best Buy shirt. They're raggedy ass Best Buy shirt. And so Issa finally gets it. She cracks and she's crying. She's like, oh my gosh, it's over. And then it pans over to Lawrence's sexy ass. And he is doing exactly what I told y'all. He is banging the fuck out of Captain Clavicle Boob. She finally got that D. I said that she wanted the D, the margarita poppers. No, the margaritas and the jalapeno poppers. I hope she got those first two and didn't just let him come over and just start banging. But he was banging the shit out of her like. And so we see that, and then little does Issa know that's what Lawrence is doing, but it is pretty much payback. We knew that Lawrence was going to end up having sex with that chick. And so we see Issa, she calls Molly and tells her what happens, and her and Molly come outside and sit on the bouch couch, old couch representative of Lawrence and Issa's relationship. And they sit down there with a bottle of what looks like some wine or some champagne. But they got a bottle of something. And Issa's crying on Molly's lap. And so from all the things that did get resolved, we do know that at least Molly knows she has a problem. And hopefully she'll go and get some counseling or just take a dating break to clear her mind, go to celibacy, run to kind of clear her energies. Change that broken pussy out. Go to the doctors. Get that shit looked at. Make sure that they don't have no random baby bays penis being rammed up inside of there. And give herself a break to rejuvenate and really pay attention to what she really needs in a relationship and why she feels that she has to be so clingy and so fast to go from dating to like relationship, married. And for Issa, well, she realized that when she puts effort into things and stopped complaining about it, that good things happen, except that she learned it too late when it came to Lawrence, who really did get his stuff together for her and was ready to propose. I mean, they went to go look at rings, beautiful rings. That marquee cut platinum band ring was just like blah, blah, blah. That could have been her, but it is not now because now he's banging out Chase Ho. And Lawrence has realized that he is this, and I hate it, he is a rare commodity. and he's gonna go and take the advice of his fuckboy friends and go become a good guy fuckboy for a little while. So hopefully they'll go back together. At least Issa and Molly are now friends again, and hopefully that Molly will help Issa get through this, and Issa will be able to help Molly get through her issues. And so I can't wait to see season 2. What do you guys think of this absolutely great show? I'm so happy that it came at the absolute right time. I needed this show. I needed something that was a little bit more relatable than Scandal, which I love watching, but I can't. I mean, like I don't know what Olivia Pope really does, what her title is. I mean, she's a fixer, but I wasn't walking around in no Gucci, Gucci pumps and Birkin bags and just looking all fabulous and fucking with presidents. I needed something a little bit more relatable, and this was definitely what I needed. Is close to what we used to get from Girlfriends and Living Single, and I'm so happy that this is being added to the pantheon of Black female friend sitcoms, and I love that it's on HBO, so it can get all the way real. And so I can't wait to see what they do next season. I'm so happy that Issa got herself a second season of this show, and I will be tuning in when they come back. I'm thinking next year. Hopefully you guys will tune in with me. Let me know what you guys thought of my reviews and recaps. What do you want me to cover next? I mean, I do watch a lot of TV, but this one I felt definitely need to be talked about because there needs to be more reviews of this so people will learn about the show and go watch it and support it, and so we can get more shows like this on television, whether it's on cable or network television. We need to make a point. That's why we're seeing so many great Black shows out there, because we're going out there and supporting it. That's why Empire is still on there, even though I don't watch it anymore. And we have Blackish, and we have Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. I mean, it's not... we know that we watch TV, and we do deserve to see ourselves represented on television, and I'm happy to see the 20-something Black female that hasn't quite gotten it together with her friends back on television. And so thanks guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and let's talk below about our insecure issues and what you thought of this episode. I'm gonna do like Molly. She didn't rap at the end of this. She didn't rap at all. She was too depressed to rap. And so, yeah, that's it. See y'all later.